I would not want to be a guru. I would not want to be all these other definitions. I would want to be a siddha. I am a siddha. I am a yogi. If my mind were simply to take this reality and adapt it, I am a seeker of liberation, would my mind not shift? Would my journey not shift? Would it give me a definition of the purpose of my life? I am a yogi. I am a siddha. The purpose of my life is not to procreate. The purpose of my life isn't to create abundance. The purpose of my life is a yogi. I am a yogi, a seeker of God. Indeed, I am a parent. Indeed, I create the abundance that in return brings me food, that takes care of my family. My job does not define me. Neither does my mind define me. How could the outward actions define me? One could say that I'm a sailor, but isn't this just an act? One does not say, I am going to circulate my blood. I'm going to digest my food. We make these strange assumptions that we are in control of the mind, or that we are in charge of the thinking of the mind. The mind thinks on its own, just as the digestion happens on its own. There are natural rhythms and actions that happens naturally. And this, neither the mind, nor the intestine, nor the pulsation of blood defines me. What defines me is that, yes, I might be a parent, but the purpose of this incarnation is that I am a seeker. A person who reminds themselves on a constant basis they are a seeker, a yogi, a siddha, a seeker of the inner self. That person has taken the first step in their own path of liberation. As long as I do not define my path, I do not have a path. As long as I do not know where I am going, I am going nowhere. As long as I do not know my purpose, if my purpose is to seek the inner self, then I shall liberate myself. If I do not have that intent, we often question, how do we find the inner self? How do we awaken the kundalini? How do we liberate ourselves? People go through life seeking for the ideal soulmate, feeling so alone. They long so desperately. They long to be heard, to be loved, to be seen. We long so different, so deeply. But if we had the same longing for the awakening of the inner kundalini, if we had the same longing to awaken the kundalini, to liberate ourselves, the mind perceives itself that it is separate from God. So the mind is always seeking, always wanting, always desiring. The mind is meant to be our greatest friend, and emotions are there to define the direction, the guidance. Emotions do not own us. They simply indicate us what we are experiencing and what is happening. And as long as we don't understand, we will continuously be the prisoner of the mind. If the mind does not perceive God, would I not long endlessly? Would I not feel separate endlessly? Would I find relationships that in the beginning become deeply nurturing and fulfilling and yet become dry like a well, or lose its luster? As long as we look or seek outwardly and do not have the same longing the same desiring, the same yearning of awakening the kundalini and discovering the inner self, then we go in circles from one lifetime to another and never go anywhere but just recreate different scenes, but different, in a sense, the same story. When an individual becomes a mad lover of the kundalini, the mother, the creator of you, your being, your inner God, the goddess of all universes, the goddess that gave you life, the goddess that created you, the goddess, in a sense, that lies deep within you, there is only one catch. You need to be a mad lover of her existence. You need to learn to have boundaries of mind and body and spirit. You must learn how to hold yourself and not leak like a sieve. Not continuously pour out all of your energy out here, but to hold it gracefully within. We stand at altars and pray to God, and all of this projects outwardly, but none of this holds and says, I need to create from an inner source, not an outer source. I cannot give endlessly to another human being, because eventually I will be disappointed, because no human being could possibly satisfy all of your evolution, only you as an individual. So we transfer all these expectations from the relationships to jobs, and we keep finding that one source that is going to get me, understand me. And yet, that will never happen. When we discover the inner self, we are no longer seeking the outward journey, but we begin to keep company with other beings that are great yogis. When we become a mad lover of the inner self, when we become a mad lover, being a seeker, a voyager, a person on a journey, then we begin to experience the awakening of the kundalini, and we begin to see the reflections of the inner self. Very long time ago, when man was evolving, one could say through many different stages of evolution. How did we get from Atlantis to the Stone Age? How do we continuously evolve and then culturally decline in such a rapid rate because we find, we seek, we digress. We feel that we are evolving. We feel that we are becoming corporate Canada, corporate America, corporate Europe. We fine-tune our companies. We fine-tune our bottom line. We fine-tune everything around us, as these are all outward actions, and yet we fail to truly find the inner self. And eventually, like a great corporation or a great country or a great everything, eventually in life turns to ash. It doesn't matter the house in which you live in, it will be ash one day. The people around you will be ash one day. Nothing is forever. Unless we become the internal kundalini that has no beginning and no ending, and we cannot come off the wheel of reincarnation and liberate ourselves and enter into this pulse of the universe.